Do you want to go back to them or do you want to stay with Donald Trump?
I want to buy Bitcoin.
He's sleeping it off.
He did drink the other day, and I was like, dude, why aren't you saving that, man? Save it for Wednesday or for Thursday. We got Darko, and we have Vacant Minds. We got Rob Loja, who has like 97 names. I got a story for you, Rob, that's pretty hilarious. And Bob Walker. They've all started Novus, which we're going to find out a little bit about. But tonight I think we're going to talk a lot about privacy in general, some stuff that I think is really troubling that just came out in the last like 24 hours. Before we do, my son just made me this. He said 10 or 20-year-old smoked bourbon. So cheers, you guys.
Cheers, rock on to good health and good youth.
Yeah.
Darko the teetotaler is the only one that didn't hold up a glass.
Yeah, no.
Before lunch for him.
What time is it over there?
In Australia?
Yeah.
Too early. It's 12 lunchtime.
Nah. It's not terrible. Give me a second. I got to down this.
Damn, you're good. Is that vodka?
It's grain alcohol.
We're going for a Guinness Book of Records here, guys. Look at him go. Liver failure live on air. Here we come. What a machine.
I just sent you an image over on Telegram, by the way.
Oh, damn.
You got to give us a big burp after that one, man. The king of all burps. Come on.
Oh, dude, I put it in the freezer before I go on. So it's so cold. Whew.
I got the Shellback rum this evening, spice rum.
Good. I have assortment. It's wine. I have a vast assortment of booze. I got another bottle of wine. I got some sangria. I have 3 different kinds of vodka. Jack Daniel's drinks. Anyone that donates one, thanks for the lemon, Phil. Good to see you. Anyone that donates over 100 Lino, make me and Lee, if he's here, take a shot. The Irishman will probably be nursing the same bottle of Jameson that he's been nursing for 3 shows. So I told him he start drinking out of a glass because I'm drinking way more than he is. Before we get started on stuff I wanted to go over, why don't you tell me a little bit about Novus and what you're doing?
Right. So is that for me or is it for Darko?
Oh, you're the chief of communications for Novus, brother. Take it away.
All right. So,
communicate, you asshole.
all right. So novus.one. Obviously, everybody's heard of Facebook's crypto that's coming out, which they're kind of doing it in reverse of what we're doing. They have a social media platform, and they're adding a crypto. Well, we actually were developing this for over a year. It's a social media platform that has privacy built into it, built on the Apollo blockchain and with the Apollo wallet integration, and also has, I can say this now since I work for iHeartMedia. Jason's actually putting the iHeartMedia plugin into the platform, so you'll be able to stream your favorite iHeart stations while
hang on one sec. We got a problem with the stream. I stream through OBS and it gives me trouble.
What's the problem?
It freezes.
You didn't see the 100 I sent you then?
Phil. Oh, yeah, you did, didn't you? All right. Okay, what am I gonna? Let's go with mango pineapple vodka. There we go. We should be.
We caught up.
Let me see. OBS. I'm gonna restart OBS. It's giving me guff. The drunker I get, the harder this is to do.
So are we frozen live, are we?
We were. No. Let's see here.
You think that's a pain in the ass? Try to use Wirecast with Restream.
Irishman is up.
Up as in awake, not like morning wood, right?
That's too much information for me to know, dude. He said Zoom won't let him join. That's weird. Let me give him the ID. Which is... Fuck.
Zoom IDs. Fuck. Really?
What's his... Yeah, I would pay for that. There it is. Meeting ID. Okay. You're going to make me type it out? Jeez. All right. Sorry about this, y'all.
Well, anybody that streams knows this pain.
Well, I want to stream straight from Zoom to DLive, but for some reason it doesn't let me. I'd heard I got to pay Zoom like $40 a month. I pay like 15 for the one, but I got to pay like extra now, from what I've been told. And we should be able to have 5 people on the stream. There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
My name is Darko.
I was trying to determine where on the screen in my room is that white bit in the background that was annoying the shit out of me.
You got a sheep there with you, Darko? Why do I hear a sheep?
It's just a one night thing, you know what I mean?
What'd you do to that animal, man?
It's not what I did to the animal. It's what the animal did to me, bro.
Leave it to you to get raped by a sheep. The most chocolate animal on earth.
You got a white Russian over there or something? What you drinking, Rob?
Milk.
This is a lovely pina colada. I brought this glass for you, Bob.
It is a lovely pina colada. I get so much shit for drinking things that taste good from everyone.
Oh.
I'm really tired of it, like pina colada, daiquiri, whatever. But
yeah. I've got no shame about that. I will take a Lafroig from the bottle, which is like pine tar, if you've ever had it, Lafroig whiskey, and I'll drink it straight down like it's water. So I want this. I'm gonna have it.
Yeah, that's what I always say, man. It's like, I'm sorry, it tastes freaking good. I just want to have that, you know.
All right, hey guys, I'm seeing in the chat.
They're saying that there's in 50% of the pineapples in the world, there's cocaine in them. So pina colada is a great thing to drink, and you get a bonus prize like a Cracker Jack box.
Wow, that's seriously, I did not know that.
Hey guys, I'm seeing in the live chat box. Apparently, there's this circle of death thing that's happening with the stream. I don't know what that means because I'm not much of a D live user, but
It means the stream's buffering. It's fine in a. Yeah, it looks like it's. I'm trying to reboot D Live. Hold on. Let me try calling the Irishman here.
Bob, you've put on a bit of weight since the last time I saw you. You must not be living off crypto anymore. How's that going?
Well, I'm working at the radio stations now, so you know. So the interesting thing, which I was going to bring up, but since we're not like officially live right now,
I thought we were.
Well, we're live recording, but we're not live. Well, I don't know. I saw a little bit of a change on D Live, but iHeartMedia. I asked the president of digital, like he's over the digital in our region. I asked him point blank, cryptocurrency, can we advertise? He said absolutely, 100%, that we could crypto companies could advertise on iHeartMedia. So, so any real players that want to do any real advertising, hit me up, and I'll get you set up.
I remember when Facebook banned everything. That was, and then
How?
while they were working on
They're such fucking hypocrites, dude.
yeah.
Facebook, no cryptos can be advertised here. Oh, that's because we're developing our own crypto. That's why.
Yeah, they were developing their own, man.
Rat bastards.
It was pretty bad.
That's what do you think about that, Libra?
So much. Well, I think we're gonna just go on from here, and if Lee comes in, we'll try to go back up on D Live.
Yeah, Lee Banky says it's freezing up pretty bad on D Live.
Yeah. Let me tell him what I'm doing.
Matter of fact, if you want to talk to me about John's campaign advertising, let me know. We're in national ads everywhere, digital, on the radio, wherever you want.
Whatever you do, don't vote for John.
Yeah. vote no for McAfee. This message has been approved.
Rob, I wanted to tell you, I did a story. I didn't do the story. That's the thing. I work for the Cryptopolitan, the news site. I'd run the YouTube channel for them. So I, go over the stories and give my opinion and all that. And there's a story on John that he was arrested and detained by U.S. forces or U.S. authorities. And I was like, that's wrong. It was when he was in the Dominican Republic. And like the first line was because it was from you, but they had like your long fake name with like 27 names. And I was like, no, they didn't put that in there. And I started it out. I'm like, look, I need to go over the story, not because it's really news, because it's so messed up. And I was like, who did this story? I was like, I need to talk to this lady. This is all wrong. First off, it's the Dominican Republic. Second off, and it was like Juan Valdez, Rob, John, blah, blah, blah.
Rob Beneficto, Pacifico, Juan Maria.
Yeah, it was. I was like, all those names are fake names, and and the eye patch. He's not even blind in that eye. All a joke.
They don't get it. That's journalism these days. They go to the first place, and that's where they get the name from on Twitter. You want to know some of the shit I've seen people put in that slot? Where a guy wrote, kitty cat pussy is their name. You're going to put that in the paper next?
Yeah. I thought it was hilarious, though. So tell me about Novus. It looks pretty cool.
Well, I sent you a screenshot in Telegram, so I don't know if you can share that or not. But the premise is it's a social media platform without censorship, run on blockchain technology, integrating, like I said, the Apollo wallet, so you'll be able to use all the functions of the Apollo wallet within the platform. Our idea is a lot of cryptos come out and they don't have a use case. I mean, they have good ideas, they just don't have anywhere to utilize their crypto. It's just like, that's why there's 2,000 of them, and people are like, what the hell is half of these, or more, and don't know what it is. So the idea is to integrate as many cryptos as we can that have a feasible social media aspect, whether it's a DApp, a game, it could be if it was an online casino, whatever that could be integrated into the social media platform, we would do that. Now, people are saying, well, why a social media platform? Well, there are other social media platforms in crypto. I don't think any of them are really stellar, not no pun intended there, but I mean, you look at
Mines.
Thanks, Bob.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the platforms, and they basically look like 90s bulletin boards. You just make a post and that's it. It's all text based, no real GUI interface to really speak of. Where Novus does have more of a feel of like a Facebook or MySpace or something like that, to go throwback. But that's kind of the idea, is that you can go on to novus.one or the Novus platform and speak your mind, whether it's politically or whatever, because we kind of embrace the scroll button, right? If you don't like it, just scroll the fuck past it. I mean, you don't have to worry about the Novus team saying, oh, hey, you said the president sucks, so we're going to delete you. That's not the social. We don't want it to censor what people are saying. Your friends, my friends, know how I speak and how I am. So if they're truly your friends and in your social media circle, either they're going to accept what you're going to say, or they're just not going to be your friends, right? So
yeah.
So that's really the principle behind it, trying to bring blockchain technology to social media and integrate as many blockchain projects as we can into the platform, to give other platforms or other cryptos a chance to integrate and give them a real world use case. Because it's kind of, at least my belief is, there's not going to be that one ring to rule them all, to say that, everybody wants to say their crypto's the best. This one crypto is going to make everything, make this mass adoption move. And I don't think that's the case. I think it's going to be when cryptos can either A, communicate with themselves, or B, at least function together at some point, then I'm watching these guys, when they can actually cooperate and work together, that's when you're going to get a real mass adoption, in my opinion.
And by the way, that strategy does work. Bob sent me a friend request. I took one look at his feed. I said, this guy's full of shit. I said, no, I rejected his friend request, and we're not friends. So it's perfect.
That's it.
He followed me on Twitter. I blocked him. All these things do work.
To give you an idea how much Rob loves me, the last time I was on the Crypto Tonight show, or the Crypto Freak show, he put a cow birthing in the back.
That was a world first, by the way.
World first. That's right.
And you say it's built on Apollo?
It is built on the Apollo blockchain. So we like the security and the anonymity. We're trying to make, it's the idea that your profile is your profile, and your actual profile ID and your account information are two separate entities. So when you go onto Facebook, right, your account is your account. So all your information's on there, and it's one single profile. So this, you're going to have more of an online profile that's associated to your account ID, but the information doesn't interchange. So like if you're male 32, whatever, like big black females or whatever, that's your thing, you know, and that can be totally separate, and you can share as much information or as little as you want to on the platform.
Yeah, you were talking about Libra and how everyone was really up in arms about your Facebook profile being connected with your money and your whole bank, basically. And they came out and said, no, we're going to keep it completely separate. We won't use your profile. We won't use the information. We won't use all the secrets we know about you. And no. Here's the thing, though. They can be completely honest. And they can say that, and then you can accept it. But literally 1 week later, they can send you an email, said we've updated our terms of service. Click here, and everything's changed, and you've just agreed to it. And that's exactly what they would do, because there's so much crap. And that's all it takes is an update to the terms of service. Like if your bank does that, it's a huge deal. You got to have a bunch of shit mailed to you in writing. They got to say, we're going to change this and change that. It's not as it's much clearer, you know what I mean? Because it's much more well-regulated.
Maybe you were redirected to a phishing site.
You could have been. But
it's the midget porn sites you've been invading on the weekends.
Yeah. You know, me and the Irishman just did this review of, speaking of privacy and all that, there's this group of crypto anarchists. They've started this project called Utopia. Have you heard of it?
I haven't heard of it.
It's completely decentralized, completely private ecosystem, like data storage, file transfers, email, messaging, all that. But they're commercial for it. It's literally like someone's typing in, teen porn and all this. And the government, everyone doesn't need to know what you look at, and it's just funny. Midget porn. That would have been good. That'd be good.
The difference being is that Darko wants the government to know that he looks at that.
It's like fucking with it's like fucking with the government. That's fun.
Well, so Satoshi Shawn, when you mentioned Facebook had sent out these emails a week later saying the T's and C's changed when you clicked on that link, I was expecting you to say that once you clicked on that new Facebook link, you were redirected to the Novus page.
That would be good. No, but just my point was that they could do that. So they can say whatever they want to get it launched and to get you in, but they can change it whenever they want. All they have to do is, we're going to update, click here. And once you click it, you're fucked. You know what I mean?
Did you see that? Did you see that the show on Netflix about how they were basically farming people's data? And not only that, but if you I guess gave them permission on the app, that they would not only get your information, but they would scan your whole entire friends list and all of their information.
Yeah.
So they could direct target to you, and your thought processes.
And nobody cares, it seems, unless the Russians are involved. Then it's a big deal. That aging app people were using? It's like, oh, they have your picture and they own this and they own that. It's like, whatever. It's a Russian app company. Wait a minute. This is serious. But they can literally take all your pictures it says that they own it. They could sell that to advertising companies or whatever, and you could go to you could go over to Eastern Europe and there's an ad with your face on it selling orange juice.
Well, to let you know how scary it is, before today, you and I were not Facebook friends, Sean, and you put that post up about this broadcast. I got a notification that Satoshi Sean posted a picture that might have you in it. Well, how the fuck do you guys know? You know?
That's weird.
How do you know that's me? So, I mean, they definitely track everything that's going on.
Yeah, John McAfee said that the facial recognition thing is easy to fool. So I don't know, but it does.
They just at DEF CON, I think the other day, lady put out a clothing line, and it's basically with that in mind. I think one of the clothing items fools license plate scanners.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it's got the Fourth Amendment, I think, written out in license plates, so it picks that up and sends that to the government computers. And then there was a shirt with a bunch of different facial, not necessarily faces, but the patterns that facial recognition picks up, and it too feeds false data into these cameras. I was happy to see that.
Well, there's something that's really very scary. Not a lot of people know about it. Well, it's not like it's hidden, but I'm in Texas. Bob knows. We hung out, had a couple beers. But have a ranch way out in East Texas by Sierra Blanca. And there's a road checkpoint for the Border Patrol, but it's nowhere near the border. It's like 100 or something miles inside of the state. But it's run by the Border Patrol. You have to go through it. It's really goes against every principle of law, but it's a checkpoint for the Border Patrol, like in 100 plus miles inside the state. But when you go through it, there's facial recognition cameras on each side of the lane that you're in. So everyone that drives by, the government gets a snapshot of their picture. They can run that. They knew who you are, and they can build that database from that. So you get the facial recognition, then you go through and give all your information to the government worker there, and then you go through. It's a really controversial place because it's not on the border. And
how is that not out of their jurisdiction?
It completely is. You'll just Google Sierra Blanca checkpoint, and you'll see tons of videos where people go through there and like, this is not on the border. What are you doing? And like, well, just tell us, are you a U.S. citizen? Do you have your ID? And like, people fight it, and then if they're filmed, usually they get like, oh, but if not, they'll get arrested. It's a crazy thing. But I thought that the facial recognition cameras were what was really scary because every single person that goes through there, they get
That's crazy because the U.S. government, I think, only recognizes like even in international waters is only like 12 or 16 nautical miles that they consider to be U.S. territory or whatever country it is, their territory. And
yeah, it's a weird place there. It's Sierra Blanca, tiny town, like population's a few hundred people, but it's the county seat. Bernie Sanders dumped a bunch of nuclear waste there, made a lot of money on it. It's got a rich history. What was I talking about? Facial recognition. Shit, I forgot.
Hey, on that note, while you try to remember, I'll tell you a true story that happened just a few weeks ago. I was listening to a heavy metal radio station at midnight till 2 a.m. in the morning. This radio station is very, very unknown because it's an extreme metal radio show. Not very popular, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I was listening to it for a couple of hours. Not even 2 days later, I get a recommendation from YouTube to subscribe to this very unknown heavy metal radio show. That shit got me worried.
That's nothing, man. That happens all the time, dude.
That's something, dude. That's something.
In my job, because I work with digital marketing with the company I work for, I can actually pull up a business online through a company and a car dealership. I can tell how many cars they sold, how many cars that like a customer went to them and somebody else sold them the car. So I can really say how many, sales they lost from this information, right? Well, how do you know that? I mean, you go to one car dealership and then you search the car online, right? And then you go to this other dealership and buy the car, and they know exactly who's buying what, where, and how much they paid for it. And it's kind of crazy that the data that's out there. And with Novus, that's one of the things we're trying to counteract as far as with the privacy and being able to, hey, your information's your information, and try to eliminate that as much as possible.
Well, I mean, everything's listening to you. But the weird thing is that people just accept it. Like with the Jeffrey Epstein thing, everyone knows he was murdered, but it's, people just make memes about it, but everyone knows it and everyone accepts it. No one's like really pissed, or people are pissed, but no one's going to do anything, which is really frustrating. Kind of makes me just want to, give up. It makes me frustrated because I actually find myself like empathizing with the bad people. Like I really understand why they think they can just do whatever the hell they want. You know what I mean? Because they
can't really do much unless they pull a Hong Kong protest on their asses. That's about it.
Yeah, but I think that they what the brilliant thing was using Facebook and other social media is they've changed people's mind as to what action is, what doing something is. Before, doing something and taking action meant actually doing something and taking action. At least writing a letter to your congressman, going and knocking on his office door, doing something. Now, I made 4 posts. I'm doing something, and nothing happened. No one cares. It's like a little kid threatening you. You're like, hey, well, shut up, kid. Get out of here. Nobody cares, because no one's taking any action. No one actually does anything of consequence.
Why should they? I mean, people here, why should they? And what are people? So if you're saying, for example, Jeffrey Epstein, and it's obvious that no matter what you believe, who might be responsible for what, it seems pretty obvious that their story is not really legit, and everybody seems to agree about that. So then how do you explain the ongoing, which, it's almost like a speed bump, nothing happens, so that complacence? Most of these people, they know this is the world they live in. I mean, you can go back a month before Epstein was done and find people saying that that's exactly how this was going to end, and not just 1 or 2 of them, but a bunch. The collective consciousness already processed this. They, what are you left with? It's kind of ugly if you think about it. I mean, essentially people are comfortable. They have what little they've been allowed to have. It's enough to make them feel like they have something to lose. And I think privately, when their head hits the pillow, a lot of people understand that this is because that the train keeps moving. The momentum stays with, where it is. And we have walk along presidents, walk along politicians. They're just walking this whole mess along. Everybody knows that it's there. And that's, you get frustrated. I kind of laugh when I see people, oh, well, we have to generate awareness. Why? Why do you have to generate awareness? What do you think the awareness is going to do? They know that this is the world that we have, and they've accepted it. I mean, we drop bombs on people every year.
They accept it. That's what blows my mind. And that's the whole thing. They accept it. I think that power of the people is gone because they gave it up and they don't care about it. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, it's too much work. We don't want the power, and they gave it up. They accept it. It's fine.
Well, listen, 1,000 of the worst people out there doing the worst things go down tomorrow. What do you think the repercussions in society are going to be? A lot of shit is going to stop, and people know this. They understand that, they wake up, go to work, everything they're accustomed to, their 2.5 kids and their 1.8 dogs, all that shit is threatened. by any major fucking change. That's why everything has been set up to make sure that there are not major changes, and they do whatever they can to make sure that events are quickly spun with a narrative so it keeps things in their court. Any major changes are the ones that they want: a loss of privacy, a return to the feudal situation, which is what they're after. I mean, so that's their end game.
That I could see. I agree with that. I think that America, the idea, the experiment, all that, I think it was radical, but I think it was an experiment. I think when it happened, it was an anomaly that could have changed human existence, but I think that the feudal system and all that, they recognized it, they acted like they accepted it, and they just slowly over the last 200 years, 150 years, have killed it, to where we're at now. But that brings me to what I wanted to go over. You said they don't want a radical change. A radical change is what they definitely do not want. I think that is what's coming. And I think that the real power now, since it's not in the people, it's with information. It's with the minds of people. Like, just take Trump, just Trump, just in general. I read somewhere where in school textbooks that it was said in this textbook that he was a racist. He hated Mexicans. That was the basic narrative that was in the textbook about the president. Now, whether that's good, bad, true, whatever, let's just look at it objectively. Let's say he gets assassinated. And let's say 7-8 years from now, a kid who is 5 years old, doesn't know anything, he's a 10-year-old reading about 2 presidents ago, Donald Trump, who was assassinated, and he reads, well, he was a racist, he did this, he did that. It's completely accepted. Well, he was assassinated, he was a terrible person. That was America's Hitler. Whether it's true, whether it's not true, none of that matters because that's what he's taught. So that's the power of information. Now, information and power has resided in the central banks, has resided in governments with fiat currency, and I think what Facebook did with Libra, when they just came out with it, they really stood up to the establishment and said, it's time for Blade Runner, it's time for sci-fi, it's time for a dystopian future. Corporations are now in power. Corporations are now going to take over. Your time is come and gone. We're in charge now. And that's when governments, they scrambled. They fought Libra. That's why there's so much uncertainty and regulations starting to jump to it when it comes to crypto. I think because Facebook accelerated the evolution of crypto. I don't think we're ready for the fight stage yet. We're still in the they're laughing at you or they're ignoring you stage. And Facebook brought a lot of it to the forefront to we're moving into the fight stage. And I don't really think that we're ready for it, but it's here.
Not only did Facebook accelerate crypto, but Facebook also accelerated the progress of China's up-and-coming digital coin. They're in panic mode at the moment, China.
Well, see, the Chinese central bank, they didn't accelerate it, they created it. China came out with it, where it's coming out with that completely, they've admitted, to combat Libra. See, this is to fight against Libra. But I think that Facebook, I think they were in bed with the Chinese government from the beginning. I think they helped them set up their Chinese credit score, the social credit score system. I think they did all that. I think they were working with the Indian government and the Chinese government. And that's why everything came out in India, if you remember, about 2 months ago, where they're banning crypto and they're taking it away from everybody. And everyone in India was like, no, we want this. Like, nope, you can't have it. And Facebook was going to launch their test net for Libra in India, which was the second most hostile environment for crypto after China. It was even, I think, the biggest hostile environment, because when they said they were going to do something, they did it. Where China would threaten, 9/10 of what they were going to do was all just threats. They wouldn't actually do stuff. So they did all these threats, but then Facebook's going to launch Libra testnet in India. And then all of a sudden, a month before Facebook's about to launch, the Indian government switches everything. The Chinese or the Indian central bank says, no, we're not really against cryptocurrencies anymore. Let's hold off. That was just a thought. We were just thinking about banning. So I think Facebook was working with China. I think they were working with India, and I think China did what China would do, and got everything they could from them, and then turned on them. And now they're going to launch their own crypto, which is going to launch like in the next month or so. But it brings you back to my point about this dystopian future, where, which I always say, Antonopoulos said that fiat currency is currency for governments, by governments, for governments. And Libra, and there's going to be others, that's money for corporations, by corporations. And cryptocurrencies are money for the people, by people. But I think that there's going to be this battle, this war of currency for people's identity information. Now, within the last 24 hours, I don't know if you know this, but Project Veritas, they've done several exposés on Google and Facebook where employees have come out and said, yeah, they fake algorithms, they silence these people, they have a political agenda, they have a direction they want to take the world in, and they want to form the world according to what they want. And Congress has started to, go after them. There have been hearings, but it's basically these employees' word against Google. Now, Google has been brought to the fire, so is Facebook, and they said, no, that's not true. We don't do this, we don't do that. Very, very upfront about what they don't do. But this thing that happened 24 hours ago, this guy leaked actual documents, actual blacklists, which they specifically said, we have no blacklist. There's no blacklist that exists. There's huge blacklists that say blacklist. They're titled blacklist. So basically, these corporations have lied to Congress. In Congress, they have come out. They're basically against the government. They've taken a stand to where now I think it's time where it's going to be, it's almost like I said, a dystopian future where these corporations are moving in as more authoritarian and a threat to governments. What do y'all think about that? I want to get your take on it.
Well, I mean, it's certainly an aspect to it. Yeah, many times when you hear somebody talking about a conspiracy theory, I hate the word myself because it's just a way to, cue people to shut off their ears for the most part. But oftentimes people will make one mistake, and that is that they focus on there being this one all-seeing entity at the top, and everything is flowing down from there. And I just don't believe that. Frankly, I think there are competing interests. These competing interests are one just as venal as the next, one just as bad as the next, and you can point to them and say, here's a villain, but that doesn't stop the fact that they, A, have a lot of money, B, have a lot of power, and B, are up against not only all of us, but other people who also happen to have a lot of money and a lot of power, and their own ideas about how things should go. So the idea of competing corporations and governments, especially with the evolution of the multinational corporation over the last 20 years, it shouldn't be strange to anybody. Now, I know that when I was watching the Libra thing unfold, I mean, I looked at it, it's not a cryptocurrency, nothing that would interest me. I wouldn't want to deal in it. If I got some, I would turn it into Bitcoin. I mean, but I don't say that it shouldn't exist. It was funny because as I'm watching some of the criticism, it was almost similar to Trump. I'm not a Trump guy, but a lot of the criticism headed in his way, I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, I don't really agree with you there. And I don't agree with those reasons why you're saying that's bad. It was the same situation with Libra. I'm listening to the government attack it, and I'm like, wait a second. I don't like you guys, and I don't like a lot of the shit you get up to, and you're basically saying that this threatens that shit. Don't expect me to feel bad for you. Now, I have my own concerns, but to me, my concerns are met by the existence of alternatives. If I'm free to transact in other ways, In other words, if Facebook isn't able to pass legislation or in some way put a presence in the world that would prevent me from transacting a Bitcoin, then I'm fine. They can have Libra. In fact, if it takes away power from the governments, please do Libra, succeed, and get a bunch of people using that. And then we'll try to steal them over to use real cryptocurrencies now that they're familiar with the concept. I'm good with all that.
The the thing that concerned me a little bit about Libra was, with Facebook, you can already send currency through Facebook. So if it's a stable coin tied to the U.S. dollar, then why not just use the U.S. dollar through?
Well, that was what scared, I think, the government the most. They didn't say that it was tied to the U.S. dollar. They said it would be tied to other assets like the U.S. dollar. So to me, if I'm the government,
That's what they don't want to
you're
do.
like, we're going to tie it to gold. Fuck you, U.S. dollar. And then it's automatically the largest country. They've got 3 billion people. That's bigger than China. Their economy is bigger than anything. That's the largest currency in the world overnight. And that's what scared the shit out of every government.
Well, you think about it, then they're taxing their people through transaction fees.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they could definitely make a heap of money doing that. I guess where right now they would have to use an outside processor. They wouldn't have to necessarily do that.
And I thought what Rob thought, it's people have this switch in their head that's off. And whenever they find out about crypto, it gets switched on. Their eyes get open. They see money for what it is. They see the monetary system for what it is. They see the world for how, the emperor has no clothes. Whenever you get into crypto, you really see that, and it changes you. So I thought it would bring people in, and they would see that. But and Facebook really, they came out, we're going to bank the unbanked. We're going to make it so that this guy in this village in Africa will be able to buy something online that he could never do before. Someone in the city can use an Uber. They could never do that before because they don't have a bank account. They don't have access to that. Oh, that's beautiful. That gives me warm, fuzzy feelings. But once they have that, they can take it away. They have that power. You know what I mean? It gives them a huge amount of power.
But we see other cryptos that are trying to do that, right? We're going to bank the unbanked. Let's use ETN as an example, right? So they're using their cellular phone app to bank the unbanked, but the fact of the matter is, why are you unbanked, right? I mean, you're unbanked because maybe you don't have enough assets to where it's worth having a bank at that point, not to say, they're paying like something like $3 a month or something silly with the app if you're using the mobile miner app, which, for me, $3 a month is not going to do much even to fill up my minutes on my cell phone if that's what they're trying to use it for. So the concept is, yeah, okay, great. Let's let these people have money that they can use, like you said, to order stuff online or whatever, where they wouldn't be able to do that normally. But if you're only going to have $3 worth of it, you couldn't even pay for shipping for something online.
But there's crypto projects and all that. They're going to bank the unbanked. That's the thing. These people already have it. Facebook already has it done. It's set up. It's not. They're not going to do it. They can do it. You know what I mean? It will literally be overnight, and it's done. And I remember when they were developing it, I kept doing news stories on it. I'm like, what are they doing with $1 billion? They're spending $1,000 million on this. How are they think they're going to make any money? Literally, when they offered the nodes, it was $10 million a node. They offered like 100. They got the $1 billion overnight back, before any fees, before any transaction costs, before they made $1. They recouped.
Yeah, on that note, they're also telling Congress that it's a not-for-profit thing. And then when they were questioned about it being total bullshit, that there are profits involved, they then diverted by saying that the profits will be going to these partners who have invested into these nodes. Now, these same partners have signed non-binding agreements, which means they can cut and run at any time. Yeah? So we've got two sides of the story here. And you mentioned something interesting a couple minutes ago, Sean. Things like Uber, they can just get taken away anytime, right? Even Visa can disappear if they wanted to disappear. It's not impossible. It's possible. It won't happen, but it's possible. Bitcoin cannot disappear. You can't get rid of it. And when you've got dickhead professor economists like Nouriel Roubini talking about it so much, especially with what Bob said, crypto banking the unbanked, you got this wanker coming out in public at conferences saying that Bitcoin is nothing but another Swiss bank account that does 5 transactions per hour. Yeah. What these people don't understand is, as much as you're against it, you can't get rid of it. It's there. It's here to stay. Done. You know, either put up or shut up. That's it. That's it.
I think it's one of the last places where people still have the power. You know, because government can't control the product, so they can only try and stop people from using it.
And it's not just Bitcoin, but it's also privacy coins, alternative coins, or altcoins, as some people like to call them. Apollo, privacy coin, technology, sharding that everyone's talking about so much. I mean, it's not just Bitcoin. Like, there's so much more out there that we're hearing about now, and there is so much more yet to come that we wouldn't even dream of. Yeah, it's a currency. It's an alternative currency, but it's also a whole new technology. We are entering a new revolution, people. Revolution. And the way it's looking in the next 10 years, I think most of the world would have adapted to some sort of blockchain technology, some sort of cryptocurrency asset. I don't know. It's just so hard to predict, but adoption will be here within the next 10 years, and that's when we'll be really entering a new revolution. Guarantee it.
It's not just Bitcoin. I'd argue that Bitcoin is not enough, and it simply does not have the feature set that is needed if we want any kind of a future that we can actually live in like human beings instead of like cattle. You know, a coin like Apollo with the privacy features that it has will be essential. Consider things like whistleblowers, okay, or dissidents in a tyrannical regime. Some would say we're living under one. Okay, what are these people supposed to do in a cashless society when their bank has just said, you know, you're out of control? How are you going to finance your activities in trying to take this thing down and do what in history we've already called the right thing when it's been done before? When people overthrow a tyrannical government, everybody wants to stand around later and say that they did the right thing. Well, if we're going to honor these concepts, if we're going to say there's any merit to the concepts that were uncovered during the Enlightenment, where we don't live at the pleasure of a king, then we need privacy coins. It's not enough that I can transact. I don't need a government agent being able to find out who I transacted with and for what. And if we don't have that, the people who perform the most important liberal functions in our society, whistleblowers, etc., will be unable to operate. So we need platforms like Apollo to succeed, period. That's it.
And Rob, you know what the biggest, most used, most well-known privacy coin in the world is? This one. It doesn't get more private than that, cash.
What's that?
And the government's against privacy coins, but where do these things come from? Who uses these? The hypocrites.
Yeah. Well, that's. I think that it's like you said, conspiracy. People just shut off. I mean, conspiracy, it's a real thing. It's a term. Two or more people working to make something happen. That's conspiring. But when you say it's a conspiracy, and there's conspiracy theories and there's conspiracies, there's shit that's happened. There's people that worked together, made a plan. I mean, look at
They would have you believe that two schmucks without a nickel between them will conspire with each other to knock over a liquor store. But people with millions and billions of dollars and all of these resources and everything to lose, everything to gain, are not going to conspire with each other to shape the direction of the world. Really? So we have a charge that we charge people with regularly for knocking over a liquor store, and that's conspiracy. But the big guys, none of them conspire to do anything.
Getting back to like what we were talking about, how people just they accept things, and But when it comes to like the government and governments in general, they used to just deny shit because they worried about it getting found out. And now it's like they don't still deny it, but they don't really deny it. Like Bilderberg. They said Bilderberg never happened. There's no such thing as Bilderberg. And now they're like, no, it's not real. But, it's real. And they're like, it's kind of real. But nobody cares. Area 51 does not exist. There is no Area 51. No Area 51. Okay, well, maybe there's an Area 51, which should be outrage. Oh, I knew there was. We said there was. What's going to happen? People were like, I knew it. I knew it. We got you. Yeah. You've been lied to for 50 years. And you're just like, yep, I was right. I win something. You know what I mean? You were lied to for 50 years. And now it's just, yeah, I got bragging rights. I was right. Who cares? It blows my mind, man.
Hey, if it was 20 years ago, I could have introduced you to some black guys that had syphilis. You know where they got it? The government gave it to them, and then lied about it all that time. And when you mention this to people and you say you assume they're telling you the truth now, why would you assume that? Why would you assume that any words that come out of a government official's mouth is true? It should be the opposite. Should be your default. I mean, Jesus.
Well, that's the thing. The government's done such bad stuff that if you say, if you said, hey, I think the government's doing this, people would say, that's crazy. That would never happen. And then you say, yeah, they did it 42 years ago. And they admitted to it. What? Really? Yeah. Hey, they were, they used to put LSD into towns like water supplies and food supplies. In France, they put too much in by accident to a bakery, and they made a whole town freak out, and like 15 people died. When 12-year-old strangled his grandmother because he thought she was a monster. Like, what? Really? Yeah, we do that to France. It was even a different country. We fucked with their town.
Well, that sounds like something Bob would do.
But that really happened. Our CIA did that. The CIA did that to a foreign fucking government in their town, and they were like, "Oh man, that was fucked up."
Well, listen. About a month ago, there was a guy that did that to the coffee pot in his workplace, and they arrested him and threw him behind bars.
Mm-hmm. They probably had to create a whole new law for that shit. Just make one up.
His reasoning was great. He said the people there were uptight and that they would benefit. He thought they would benefit from the experience. I agree with his logic. I don't like uptight people.
Well, was it Chase or their ship just got caught with $1 billion worth of cocaine? $1 billion worth of fucking cocaine. And it's like, bankers, nothing happened, Which when it comes to banks, literally they can rip people off, make $2 billion, get caught, and nobody goes to jail. They get fined $100 million. They made $190 million profit.
One metric shit ton load.
After they paid fines and everything's legal, they're in profit for $1 billion. That's good business, man. You know what I mean?
And nobody bats an eye. Listen, you just had that schmuck up a couple of weeks ago from the one agency or another, the Fed. I don't know where he was from, but and he's talking about how they have him on video. He's saying, oh, well, money doesn't get laundered and we don't have crime problems with the U.S. dollar. And then what was it, yesterday or 2 days ago, another set of bankers went down for money laundering, massive amounts of fucking money. I mean, they say these things because they know there are no consequences. Almost in a flip side, in a mirror image of why maybe you don't see the reaction. You were talking earlier, Sean, about people not being concerned about their privacy being invaded or destroyed, and they don't see the consequences right in front of them. And human beings are like that. If we're not confronted with consequences, we don't take the lesson. And the powers that be, there are no consequences for them just coming out and more or less admitting what happened, because people just don't care. As long as things remain somewhat like they are, they don't care. They want their 2.5 kids, they want their SUV and their fucking pets, and they're good.
The sheeple. Well, I mean, speaking of that, when's the last time you ever heard of a drug bust going down where they seized like 1.5 million denarii or something, some Italian lira,
Yeah, that's why I always make the point. every drug and mob movie I've ever seen, they're not looking at their phone or getting their hardware wallets. They're having stacks of cash. It's all U.S. dollars. But that's
but Bitcoin is for drug dealers. Drug dealers use it.
Like Darko had that the Nouriel Roubini thing. He was like, it's only good for illegal use and people buy drugs and human trafficking. But no, it's like 1% of what is used for all that stuff.
Right.
Sean, I will say that Darko does a much better impression of him than you do.
Yeah, it was a good video.
It's a one shitcoin traded against another shitcoin in the cesspool of shits. I love it. Fucking love it. The guy cracks me up, man. He's such a clown. I love it. I think I might do another one of those segments in the future, actually. Now,
he's quite a character.
Based on the topics that
I'm glowing O-ring.
He's what? Sorry?
It seems like if you mention crypto to him, he's about to blow an O-ring. I mean, he seems to take it almost personally, that man.
You know why, man?
Right, he does.
You know why? He would have invested so much money at the top of the bull run, and he fucked himself at the bottom of it. That's why he's got so much hate. Why would you study a topic, a subject so much if you hate it so much? Because he's interested. He's been involved before with it, and he wants to be involved with it again. And he's obsessed with crypto, dude. He's obsessed. He's just upset because he's lost a lot of money from it. That's it.
He bought Bitcoin at 19K. Bought Bitcoin at 19K.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Exactly. That's exactly right. Exactly right. So, based on
Jamie Dimon talking about Bitcoin's a piece of crap. It's it's terrible. He says that anyone that buys it is stupid. And literally, while he's saying this, he has his company buying shitloads of fucking Bitcoin. And it all comes out like 3 weeks later. After he drove the price down, they just bought more. But it comes a point, like I said, you just have to be like, yeah, it's fucking smart, man. I fell for that shit. You know what I mean? I have to it's like getting to the point where I don't care about the sheeple anymore. It's like, dude, you just, I'm sorry. It's like,
it'd be hard to take sympathy with it. Yeah. I mean, it is annoying, especially when other people have, risked a lot to try and create a situation that's better for everybody. And then they get shit on not only by their enemies, but by the people they're trying to help. It can become hard to, remain vigilant in the face of that. It doesn't bother me. I kind of think, I look at one side, they talk about things like wealth redistribution, and I'd like to see some, but I'd like it to be organic. That's one of the things I love about crypto. I think it has the potential to effect a massive wealth redistribution on this planet, but to do so in an organic way that doesn't involve guns. Well, what more can you ask for? And imagine if some of this money, instead of being in the hands of these sinister bastards, was in the hands of people that would actually want to do good things, interesting things, and things that help humanity with it. The more money somebody like, for example, Elon Musk can make, I'm happy about that. Now, here's a guy who wants to look to the future of what humanity is going to do, and some of his ideas I don't agree with. Other ones, and his general sense of trying to make things better, I do agree with. I'd much rather have him have the money than governments or the wealthy elite that run things today. So, we do have a chance, and the chance is there. What bothers me is that so many of the people that see these evils, they come because money brings out the worst in people. They come to hate the money itself and the act of making it. And we're actually seeing a lot of this creep into the crypto industry where people somebody makes some money on something and somebody else is hard done by. Well, why does that bother you so much that something should be profitable, that people have to feed their families? Like that makes a project a scam? Are you out of your mind? Now, so we take a step back. I want these people to have money because I don't want the other people to have it, and somebody's going to have it. So, that's my thoughts. I'm not sure that we've got 15 fingers pointed around, and everybody thinks everybody else is the enemy. Some of these people are not enemies, and we need to take a step back and say, what is a good guy? What is a bad guy? And is a bad guy necessarily somebody that makes money in a strange way? Well, no. What are they doing with that? How are they exerting influence on society? Are they trying to make it better, or are they trying to make it better suited to them? And there you have your answer. It's not I guess if I would give you one way to maybe have hope, continued hope, you say there's almost a despair, and I can sympathize with that. But I would suggest that because of the concentrations of wealth, it's a very small number of people that would actually need to take a dive for things to substantially change in this world. And I think that's one of the things that frightens people the most, and the reason they don't want to look is that if these selected people go down, and there are good reasons for all of them to go down, it's just that nobody's looking. But if we took care of that, things would get substantially better quickly. So we do have hope.
I think one of the
hope. You're going.
Go ahead, Dogo.
I was going to say, and that hope, at the end of the day, lies in Novus. What is Novus? Just quickly, if you don't already know, Novus is aiming to be an all-in-one, everything-one platform with a social networking core. Now, when I say everything-one, all-in-one, I really mean it. Now, its backbone will be privacy, security, and freedom. If you haven't already done so, guys, check out novus.one. The website is up, and there is a white paper there. You look at things like Facebook and what they're doing and the whole Libra thing and what they're doing, and then you got the Chinese trying to do similar direct and indirect things. What all this is actually doing is opening the door for many other projects such as Novus to come out and rise up. Now, what seemed to be considered as impossible maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, with a concept such as Novus, is now becoming more of a reality with the stupidity and dumb shit that idiots such as Facebook are doing. Your data is not safe. Whether you admit it or deny it, your data is not safe. When you're browsing through, let's say, Facebook, people's news feeds, and you're looking up Marketplace is a really good example, and I'm pretty sure Bob has brought this up before. You purchase a product. A week later, 2 days later, 5 days later, you get a suggestion, a recommendation that, hey, we think you might also be interested in this product because we know you bought this other one last week. No privacy. No privacy at all. Security is a huge thing. We all know it. But what in actual fact is happening is the data you enter into platforms such as Facebook, in their terms and conditions, and it's there. If you look for it, it's all there. They own everything you upload, everything you type. They own it, intellectual property rights. Yeah, you don't know where this shit is going, but it's going to a lot of places, to a lot of other external companies. Did you give your permission? Yeah, you did actually, because you didn't read the terms and conditions which state this shit is going on. And that's only the stuff that they want you to know. Something's got to be done. We have no privacy. We have no security. We have no freedom. You speak up against the government, as mentioned earlier, chances are your post will get deleted or your account will get shut down. It's happened. It's happening on YouTube as well. And there's a lot of YouTubers talking about it at the moment. They're anti some government, and all of a sudden their accounts are suspended or deactivated, gone. This shit's got to stop. We're living in the 21st century, and instead of getting ahead, which we are in certain ways, we're still falling backwards. We're falling behind. You know, I have seen other platforms trying to achieve a similar thing, but unfortunately, they're not quite getting it right. They're failing, whether it be something as simple as the GUI is shit, but the concept is good behind the project. No one's getting it right. So again, Novus is an all-in-one, everything in one platform with the social networking core, with privacy, security, and freedom as its backbone. If you haven't already checked that out, I suggest you guys do check it out and share the word, because without the people power, things like this do not happen. Please, people. So novus.one, very simple, easy to remember. And we are also powered by partners. Okay, so we are gaining support from the crypto industry, but we're also gaining support from the non-crypto industry too. It's not going to be a crypto website or a crypto platform. It's actually going to be half and half. Okay, we want to appeal to the mainstream. We don't want to call ourselves a crypto platform and scare off the mainstream. We want to ease people into it. We want to teach people about crypto while doing what we're doing. And at the end of the day, Facebook is going to die. whether you believe it or not, it will die. We've had even economists coming out publicly and saying the same shit, right? It's just a matter of time, not if, but when. What do you think is going to happen? I mean, people say the same thing about MySpace. You know, oh, MySpace is the biggest thing and it'll never die. Look what happened to MySpace, and who took over? Facebook. Facebook will also die. And who's going to take over then? Well, it's up to people such as us to get off our asses and do something about it. That's it. That's all I want to say.
Well, and what they're doing it's a pretty big deal. One of the reasons I agreed to sign on as an advisor to Novus was their approach to the problem as not a strictly crypto problem. And you know, I have tried different competitors, different crypto solutions that look to replace the social media experience out in the mainstream. And the trouble with all of them is you sit down for 5 minutes with them and you're like, this sucks. I can't do half of the things that I was able to do. I can't do them easily. This isn't intuitive. It's not fast. None of this makes any sense to me. I'm done. You don't get a lot of opportunities like that with the average consumer. They're going to try your product for 15 seconds. They're going to say it's shit. And now you will have a hard time dragging them back. And this is where I think a lot of these projects fall down. Many of them fall down because they target the crypto community too heavy. So when you, for example, log into the alpha, for Novus, as I have done, what you see is the focus is on the application itself. It's not on the cryptocurrency. So what does that mean? Well, they might succeed or fail, but they already have an advantage because their goal is to replace that experience that people are used to and to do so in an intuitive way. If you look at all the success stories, it's been the people who were able to do that that have succeeded in the past. That's why Facebook replaced MySpace. Everybody started using it because it was easy and better. They didn't start using it because they thought their privacy was going to be invaded. That wasn't a selling point. It was a side effect. If you make something better, I do believe they will come. Novus is on the right track with that. There's good reasons to check them out, even if you've tried some of the other alternatives and been like, I don't want to do this again. I think this will be a different experience.
Well, one
Not
thing
only that, Rob.
One thing with Novus, I'm sorry, Darko. We have a habit of that. But one thing with Novus, we haven't even really delved into funding. Everything that's been done on Novus has been done on our own dimes and our own time. So we haven't looked at any kind of, well, not that we haven't looked at it, but ways to fund a project or an ICO or anything like that. But that has not been the focus. The focus has been getting the platform up, stopping when you look at YouTube, you know, having a suggested topic like Darko said. I mean, I've looked at YouTube and watched a random video I've never watched before about DoorDash, and then be scrolling through Facebook, and the first thing that comes up is about DoorDash. I'm like, what the hell? So, you know, Facebook and YouTube obviously have some sort of agreement where they're communicating back and forth so they know what is being transpired. So,
oh yeah.
So we're really, you know, we're really wanting to stay at the core of things, making social media social. It doesn't mean you're going to like it, guys. Social media doesn't mean you're going to like it. When you're with your group of friends, if one of your buddies says something you don't like, doesn't mean you're not friends, doesn't mean you're not social, you're not hanging out. You know, you're not going to get banned. You're not going to get blocked.
Well, that's another thing. Like, we'll take DLive. DLive came out. The D stands for decentralized. It was a decentralized platform. You could do what you want. We could pull our penises out and wag them at the camera. Nothing. It's completely, you know, no one can ban you. And that's when they came out. And PewDiePie came over to DLive. That's what brought a lot of creators over. This huge deal. So it's decentralized, no point of failure.
Yeah, but dude, I've been hearing that even DLive have started censoring people now.
And then, this is the beginning. Then Alex Jones came on, and DLive said, no, you can't come on. And I was like, what? It's completely decentralized. You can't, they're like, nah, we're banning Alex Jones. You can't come on. So whatever you think, that to me, that was like, fuck y'all. It's a scam. Yeah. You know what I mean?
See live.
Yeah.
Hey, to be honest with you, I want all the controversy. I think it breeds. I mean, in media, even bad media is good media, right? Everybody loves to see the drama. Fucking bring on Rush Limbaugh. Bring on fucking the UFO guys. I don't give a shit. You know, just be on the platform. Put out what you want to put out. It's my belief that, hey, Rob, if you like to look at UFOs and there's a UFO guy, you're going to go to him, right? So what the fuck do I have to say about it? I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the philosophy behind the platform is, hey, if I don't like it, I don't have to follow them, you know?
Can I put my 2 cents in for a second? Another true story. For those of you who don't know, the Crypto Tonight channel also has a show called the Crypto Freak Show, which is co-hosted by myself and yours truly, Rob, who's with us. Now, several months ago, we had... So basically, the Crypto Freak Show is a similar kind of show to this one. We interview industry guests. Now, a few months ago, we had interviewed the managing director of a crypto brand called Crypto Profile. His name was Max. Awesome guy, right? This interview segment we did with him was really, really funny and crude. Really funny and really crude. Before we release an episode, which we call chapters, we release a promo prior to releasing the full episode, just to get the word out. This is what to expect, with a couple of segments from the upcoming show. Now, I had sent Max the link to the promo, and he uploaded it to his YouTube, to Crypto Profile's YouTube. In this promo, which ran for about 2.5 minutes, there was a clip of Max in the upcoming show holding a toy penguin, similar to this little guy here. He was holding a toy penguin, and he felt its private area, and he said it's a female penguin. Okay? Now, we both had the exact same video uploaded on 2 different channels. Within 24 hours, Max's channel got suspended because of that promo. And what was the reason? It was they used the excuse something sexual. Sexual abuse against animals or something like that. It was a few months ago. All right. So then we ended up cutting down the promo and getting rid of the crude parts from it. And he appealed it, and then they were like, all right, you can have your channel back. That was it.
Well,
so
YouTube's doing the same thing. From what people that I'm following on YouTube, that if their children are in the background, that children's on the background, they're actually getting penalized if they don't disable their chat, or their chat is being taken away from them on the video because there's children on the video, even if it's their own kids. Yeah. It's kind of weird.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know.
Having said
they're in the U.S., they're really strong about children and gambling.
Yeah, but there are a lot of
especially if there's gambling children.
No, you can gamble with the children. You know,
gamble the children.
Gamble the children. That's fine.
Hey, and here I am. I had no idea that toy penguins had private areas, but you learn something every day, I guess.
Thanks to Max, we know it now. Thanks to Max. That was chapter 9, I think it was, of the Crypto Freak Show, Rod. Was it chapter 9?
No, I don't know. They all seem the same to me.
You should have said that the penguin identified as a 40-year-old man. Then you'd be covered.
It's fine now. That's okay. You can molest him all you want.
Yeah. Well, you know what I thought was really weird I found out about is, them kind of using people. If you remember, like a couple of years ago, there was this big challenge. It was the mannequin challenge. You know, you could film people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They the whole reason that was enacted and made was because Google wanted to create a 3D facial recognition AI. And they did this with this challenge, they got 10,000 videos an hour given to them freely completely theirs to use to develop this AI. And that is why they recognized Bob in the picture is partially because of that AI that they created with the mannequin challenge videos they got.
Well, Bob just took off. I think the police must be outside his house.
Hey, Rob. Just now, literally right now, as we were talking, I received a text SMS from the government saying that asking if I'm enrolled to vote, and if I'm not, to do so soon. So I'm guessing we have some sort of election coming up. If we do, I'm going to write John McAfee on the ballot paper.
That's a good idea.
What's going on with him running for prime minister? He just kind of hit on that and then it went away.
Yeah, he popped through there, and I think when it became clear that he ought to leave, it might be one thing that's not on the to-do list after all. But he had to quickly clear out of there. I mean, Great Britain, if you're not really wanting to deal with the U.S. authorities, Great Britain's not a great place to stay.
What's going on as far as the debates and that kind of thing?
Well, listen, the campaign for us it has to proceed in two phases. Worrying about the national debates is really secondary at this point to worrying about the Libertarian Party nomination and debates. And we have good confidence that we'll be able to get him a presence in most, if not all of those, even though he won't be there in person. To exclude him would be strange. So, if we take that nomination like we would like to, then we'll worry about what we're going to do about the national debates. Either way, it would be running with a party that has never been represented in those debates. So it would be up to us to either get it or not. It's not like something that he's going to inherit with the party like a Republican or a Democrat would.
When are those going to happen, the Libertarian debates?
I think that the big ones, well, they happen throughout the cycle. Things picked up after January. Right now, a lot of the candidates are campaigning within that party, within their own circles. You don't really see a lot about that in the national media, but they are going through the motions now. You have active candidates there. John hasn't been particularly active. We're looking at this month to start ramping things up a little bit. But last time around, just to give you some perspective, the guy that won the Libertarian nomination, Gary Johnson, he didn't announce his candidacy until January of the year 2016. That was the year of the election. So nobody knew for sure that he was going to run until that late of a date. And that's when you start seeing these events start happening shortly after that. And each state has its own debate. Last time around, they had a national one for the first time that was on Fox with John Stossel. So they do things a little bit differently than the other parties by necessity. They don't have the same platform that the other parties do, so they make do with what they have.
Okay.
I actually looked at running one time, and Republican and Democrats, to run as either one of those, you had to pay a $10,000 fee just to get on the ballot as a Republican or Democrat, which really takes the average guy that at one time could just run for office because he wanted to see change or, be the opposition, out of the mix totally, unless you just happen to have a chunk of change lying around.
If you notice what happened in Britain with the Brexit party, I think it's really historic. They said, hey, we're a brand new party, based on this thing that people voted for. But they won. They became a viable, different party, which the U.S. hasn't had that forever. You know what I mean? A viable third party. I think the two-party system is just it's part of the problem. You know what I mean? They really, it's like everyone's the same. I think the party system in general is just kind of messed up. But I thought that was a really big deal that they were able to do that and become a viable choice. Is there anything you think that could any way that could happen in the United States?
The conditions of Europe are much more conducive to that. You see more smaller factions than you do here. Here, the WAC Listen, you can whack this country in half, and there's more or less your voting line. It goes a little beyond that sometimes, 60%. But so there's your first whack. Your second whack is with the parties, and what people fail to realize, because they don't show you this in the graph when they show the results. When you see the results of an election, you see the Republicans and the Democrats, and it's a pie, and it's mostly split. You have the winner with a slightly larger piece, and then the loser with a slightly smaller piece. The tiny slither that represents independent votes and write-ins and libertarians and everything else. And they say that this is your population voting. That's not accurate. If you actually made that pie chart based on the voting eligible population, you'd have a big black space, and that's all the people that don't vote, okay? And then when you look at the support for the Republican Party and the Democratic Party in that context, now you're dealing more with like 19, 18% of the population. That's enough to take it. So now if you look at the non-voters, say half of them could displace either party. Well, there's your answer. Yes, it's possible, but our system and the laws have been written by these very same people over the years who got themselves into these positions of power and then passed them along to others of like mind, and then they crafted legislation over years that favored these two parties. So we have a tremendous disadvantage in the United States as compared to other countries when it comes to bringing in a brand new party. You almost need for one of them to die and for everybody there to go elsewhere. And I would suggest that that's just rebranding. That's not a new party.
Yeah, I would say it would just be rebranding. I remember. I think what they were able to do though in England is take an issue, but they call it the Brexit Party. It's not even they're not even like trying to hide it. It's an issue, and that's what they ran on. But I think that's how most people in the U.S. vote. I remember years ago, my girlfriend was like, "I'm voting for Obama." I'm like, "Why?" "He's for the gays." That's what she said. He wants gay marriage. He's for the gays. And I like gays, and friends are gay. I'm going to vote for him. It's like, do you know anything else? No, I don't need to. It's just one thing. You know what I mean? And I think that's how most people vote in the United States. It's like, this is important to me. This guy or this person likes this one thing. I don't care. I don't care about anything else. Maybe it's because people are selfish now, whatever, but they don't look at the candidate or the party or anything. As long as
it's simplified. I mean, look at Twitter. It's an entire platform built around making things more trite and not having people have to look at something for a long time, process it, read words, which apparently wears all kinds of people out these days. I mean, it's just more than they can handle, and we have the lovely phrase that came for that, TLDR. I fucking hate it. Too long, didn't read. Well, you need to work on your attention span, buddy, because you're not going to learn anything from fucking 2 sentences. But they have people trained with that. Most people will react after reading a headline. They're going to take the time to post something themselves, and they haven't even read the article in question, okay? And then they end up looking stupid because that's not what the headline doesn't correspond to the facts, and they're angry about nothing. How many times have you seen this? But it tells you the way people are. They don't look deeply. Why should they vote deeply if they're not looking deeply? We realize that we're up against all of this. We have our own struggles with the Libertarian Party. These people seem to think it's 1852 and everything's hunky-dory and you can just go participate in government. It don't work like that. So we have a lot of walls to break down to even win that nomination because, frankly, the 1,000 people that tend to show up at delegates aren't going to want to vote for John McAfee, and they never will. So we need to do something about that. Maybe we'll be successful, maybe we won't, but we won't be the last people trying it. A lot of obstacles out there across the board. It's not just nationally.
That's a good point, man. People never really, they don't look beyond the surface ever. It reminds me, it was, it must have been a junior in high school, and it was an election year. I don't remember who was running. I think it was may have been Old Bush, but anyway, the election was crazy as usual. It was really, really dirty, and we were going to have a mock election in history class, and one person was running as a Democrat, one person was running as a Republican, and we're going to have debates, and there's going to be like 3 different classes. We're going to participate. We're going to have a vote. And my history teacher was my coach. And he took me aside. He's like, Sean, I want to do an experiment. You're going to run for president. But I need you to do this. You can't stand for anything. And I'm going to let you do whatever you want. You can say whatever you want, but you can't lie. But you can give people stuff. You can break rules, but you can't lie. So I like made up these little index cards, vote for me, with like it had a piece of candy taped to it. We went out and gave it to people, everyone in different classes. And then we had this big debate. But dude, I look like such a dick because I won by like 85%. But we had this big debate, and it was like, I remember the death penalty. One person was like, I'm for the death penalty, but only if it's for police or someone else. And this other person was like, I'm against the death penalty, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, it's okay if someone kills someone and kills a kid and blah, blah, blah. And they just get to be taken care of by the state forever, blah, blah, blah. And so it's okay if someone kills me or kills my child. But if I wear a badge and that's my job that I chose, I'm completely different. I'm a better citizen. I deserve more protection. How the hell is that right? So it was basically, that's what I did. I just picked apart the people and never stood for anything. And I completely won. And then everyone's like, yeah. And then my teacher went up. He's like, what did he stand for? What did you vote for? What is he going to do? And it was powerful. Everyone was really pissed off. And then some people were like, he was for the death penalty. He's like, no, he wasn't. Yeah, he was. He said this. Yeah, but he said this. So it's people don't ever look. But looking back on that, people haven't really looked that deep. You know what I mean? It's just whatever's on the surface. I make my choice, and that's it.
So if you know this, what you try to do is you try to put out something brighter and shinier in front of them than the other guy. You can lament the fact that they're not thinking the way they ought to be, but to pretend that they are is stupid. And this is what a lot of the people on my team like to do. They like to pretend that people are going to, if they only just will hear our perspective, then this ray of sunshine is going to come blasting down from above, and they're going to be enlightened, and now they're going to be one of us. Well, the real world doesn't work like that. I don't know how much evidence they need to see, but we have hundreds of years of proof of this in the modern context. People are much more superficial than that. What our campaign is about we've been not bashful about saying it's an attention-getting campaign. We're trying to wake people up in a different way, and we're trying to give them a brighter shiny to look at, something more grotesque than what they're already seeing out there. And truly, it is a representation of the system that they have created themselves. I didn't come up with our campaign slogan, that was John's creation, and it very much characterizes what he's after. But just the idea of somebody running for office saying, don't vote for me, I don't want to serve. And I would suggest, Plato suggested thousands of years ago that is the guy you want to vote for.
Well, the ridiculousness of what he says, and it's ridiculous when he says this, but then when you think about it, and when you think about the truth behind it, it blows your mind. Why would anyone work their ass off and spend tens or hundreds of millions of dollars to get a job that pays $100,000 a year? And your answer to that is because they want to serve, they want to make the world a better place, blah, blah, blah. And then you ask the question, if they do that and they only make $100,000 a year, why do they leave office 4 years later being a multiple millionaire?
Right.
If they're so busy serving,
mm-hmm.
How did they do that? It's so obvious when you kind of tear away that facade, you know what I mean? And it really makes you think.
It is so obvious, but consider, if you've ever had friends that are sports fans, here's something that you'll see over there, and it's very much a representation of a similar mentality. And it's, in fact, playing out to such a grotesque extreme lately that you can see it almost anywhere. But you have a player playing on one team, let's say the baseball, Boston and the Yankees, they have a very sort of a rivalry going or whatever. And you have a player playing for Boston, and you go grab any Yankees fan, and ask him about that guy, and he's going to tell you, oh man, that guy bent his mother over. He's a scumbag. He's really a piece of garbage. And some of the things I've heard about ball players from fans from the other team have been terrible. But then the same guy gets signed a couple of years, free agent, cuts his contract, and now he's signed by the Yankees. And this same person all of a sudden becomes the salt of the earth if you ask this very same fan. And this is exactly what we see in politics. This is the modern game of left versus right, gotcha versus got you. You're a hypocrite. I'm a hypocrite. They keep pointing out to each other that they're hypocrites. At some point, you think they get the hint that, yes, you're both right. You're all a bunch of fucking hypocrites. Now, can we please move on, because the rest of us are sick of hearing it. And when your guy does something, it's fine. When yours does, it's the end of the world. I mean, what could be more obvious?
Well, speaking of politics, guys, when it's not one of my hot topics necessarily, but when you look at the rate things get done when they want to, right? So we bring up Libra and crypto. When they thought there was an issue, bam, hearings, all this bullshit's coming out, right? Healthcare, fucking years to get a solution to, right?
Yeah.
It's just amazing how quick, if they want to, they can make it happen.
In England, they're fighting over who's going to regulate. Not that are we gonna, but like the department that does regulation, they're like, no, you politicians don't get to do this. We have experience. We're going to regulate it. And they're like, no, we need to talk about it. We need to pass some laws. Like, no, they're arguing over it, and you couldn't get any kind of answers. We need some basic framework. Can we just have some basic framework? We'll get to it. We don't understand. We're confused. We're old. What is a blockchain? Well, we'll give us 5 years. But now they're like, no, we need to do it. We know everything. We're the smart guys. No, we're elected. We're going to do it. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, that's typical government. I mean, even when you go back to like healthcare and Obamacare, and everyone's like, oh yeah, well, he wants to give everybody healthcare. I said, okay, first of all, have you ever been to the VA? I mean, I have. Go to the VA. Look at government-run healthcare. Just go down there and ask a veteran. I wanted eyeglasses. The last time I went, I said, hey, man, I need to get some eyeglasses. I know my eyes are jacked up. You know what they told me? Oh, well, yeah, if you went today, in 3 months, they could probably see you for an eye exam. 3 months to get my eyes checked.
You get hit by a car.
Yeah. I'm like, and just think if it was something like really important. I mean, my vision, I could see, but if it was, something major, I mean, literally an act of Congress to get it done. I mean, it's just crazy. And people were begging for that.
Yeah, anything the government's in charge of anything, it's completely ridiculous. That's why government work, it's good enough for government work. It's its own term. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
that's true.
It's all fucked.
But like Rob was saying, I think the polarization now seems different to me than any other year. You know what I mean? It's like I got friends that have been friends for 30 years. And they're like, fuck you, I don't like you. We're not friends. And you're like, why? You're a fucking racist. And like, you're black. I'm black. And we were friends for 30 years. I dated your sister. Now the truth comes out. Take that fucking hat off, that MAGA hat. That's all over with, buddy. I was your best man. Fuck you, man. No. It's ridiculous. But by the same token, if Trump goes and punches a baby in the face, a lot of people are like, well, that baby was asking for it. You know what I mean? Did you see the baby? Did you see the baby? Because maybe. You know what I mean?
I saw that baby eyeballing Trump. You should have seen the look he was giving him.
Yeah, I think it may have been the nicest baby. I'm not for sure. People make the ridiculous. I saw this meme, and it was Trump, and he was like, "I just want to say how much I really love puppies," and then the picture underneath it was the CNN guy. He was like, "Just in, Trump hates kittens," You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
everyone. It's like they have their mind made up, and it doesn't matter.
Nope. No, it is that bad. It is that bad. And what's funny is that I had the same feeling that I had with Libra, where the government was saying they didn't like it, and I'm like, well, I don't really care about that. I had the exact same feeling during the election with people and Trump. And now you have this entire segment and some of the funniest articles that you can find out there written by these people that are Washington, just slime that grows on the walls in Washington is basically how you can describe them. They live there, and they are eternally offended. The same types of people that were offended when Andrew Jackson took office and he threw open the doors of the White House for his inauguration. These people didn't know what to do with themselves because this was beneath them. And now they did the same thing with Trump, and they expect people to take sympathy with this position. I don't have to like the man to tell you that you're full of shit. You have been, you were before Trump, and you will be afterwards. Why would I want to listen to what you have to say? But they're out there telling anybody that'll listen. I mean, what's sad is that the legitimate criticisms get lost in all of this, and the absurdity. And when you attack somebody for 50 reasons, people are not going to listen to the 51st and oh wow, it's valid. So as a result, we have the situation that we all live in. It is a little bizarre, is it not? Like you said, this last year has been something else. I expect it to get worse before it gets better.
Hey, there's I watched of all things, a comedy segment yesterday by a guy named Bill Burr. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
It's like one of my favorite comics, man.
Have you seen the clip where he's talking about no reason to beat a woman?
No. Maybe I have. He gets away with, like, and he makes the point. He's like, dude, I'm like the edgiest person in the world. Like 20 years ago, it's boring. But if I say, like, there's two genders, I'm fucking the most edgiest guy in the world. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, he's talking about beating women. He says, now, I don't condone beating women, but I won't say there's no reason to beat a woman.
Yeah.
So he goes in this whole explanation. He says, because if you merely say there's no reason to ever beat a woman.
I know that one. Yeah, I heard that one, yeah.
You're not looking at the root cause of why it actually started that way, right? So, I mean, I laughed my ass off because it was hysterical, but...
If a woman comes and hits you in the head with a bat, there's kind of a reason to beat a woman.
Right. I mean, he goes on, and I mean, it's again, not condoning. He used it slamming a woman's head into the cupboard drawer because she didn't clean off the can opener, right? Because it's going to rust.
Well,
he says,
Darko calls that foreplay.
Foreplay. But
that's some kinky shit right there, man.
But it's the fact of the matter.
When Betty White comes over, that's how Darko warms her up.
But it's the point. Back to the just taking things for face value, right? So if you just shut off the fact that, and you take things at face value, that you should just never do that. Well, why did it happen to begin with?
Yeah.
And that's where we get away from it, and people are just like, oh, well, you should just never shoot a black guy that was arrested, because there's no reason to shoot a black guy that was arrested.
Did you see the one where it's the mothers of the hardest job in the world?
I haven't seen that one yet.
It's like, I kind of think a brain surgeon might argue that, or that guy, that soldier out in this desert in Iraq, getting shot at, might be a little bit tougher than taking Sally to the fucking soccer class.
Look, guys, I think it all boils down to the problem that it boils down to is feminism, and it's becoming a growing problem. I mean, they want their rights, equal rights, and then when you give it to them, it's like, all right, he beat me up. There's always a reason for everything. Doesn't mean it's correct. Doesn't mean it's right. There's no excuse for provocation in a court of law to beat someone up. But as mentioned earlier, if a woman hits you with a baseball bat and you're not armed with anything, you're going to defend yourself, right? Common sense. You're not going to get beaten to death by a woman beating you with a bat, right? And it's, I can't touch her because she's a woman. I'll just let her keep beating me until I'm unconscious or dead. I mean, we've got to use common sense, and feminism does not use common sense. It all started, I think, back in the 80s when that song came out. Girls just want to have fun.
What was that word? What did you
started.
say? What did you say, Darko? What was that? What was that?
I think it all started back in the 80s with that song, Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
What's the term you used?
Feminism.
No, the other one. Common sense?
Common sense.
Yeah, common sense, but unfortunately, it's not that common, bro.
I haven't heard
not
that.
that common.
I don't think I've heard that. Well, no, I did when I was a child. I heard that term back then, but it has been a while. Yeah. You know what started, man? You know what started? I thought about this past few weeks. In the 80s, when the new Star Trek came out, The Next Generation. And they changed from where no man has gone before to where no one has gone before. That's when it all started. That was the nexus. Because that was the separation, because man meant mankind. That meant woman and men together. But then it was separated. And ever since then, everything's been on the decline.
Oh, dude, let's get controversial here.
Yeah, we haven't already.
Yeah, I know. Here we go. We're going back now. I'll take it a step further. We'll take it back to World War II. Okay, Rosie the Riveter, right?
Mm-hmm.
The guys come back from the war. Now all these women have jobs, right? Other than the Depression, there were no issues with unemployment because the men weren't competing against the women for jobs. The women stayed home. The price of goods was cheaper. There was always dinner on the stove, mom at home, kids didn't talk back. You beat the shit out of them if they did. No issues. So we can really make an argument that if women would have just went back home and didn't stay Rosie the Riveter after World War II, that we'd be in a much better space.
We are all so uncomfortable now.
We're all going to hell.
No, I know. Hey, no, not uncomfortable, man. I know women who beat the shit out of guys for crying out loud, but no one talks about that, right? So I'm not uncomfortable.
They do now because
it's real life. It's real life.
They do talk about that now because men are pussies.
Yeah.
Well, like Bill Burr said, 100 years ago, I could beat you in the head with a mop handle because it was the law. But nowadays, you get 50% of my shit if we get divorced because it's the law.
Did you hear about the Gillette thing?
Hmm.
The ad for Gillette, men are bad, all that thing. They lost $8 million in sales. $8 billion.
$8 billion in sales.
Oh, that didn't last very long, did it?
No, they were fucking slammed. But it was like when it came out, I literally just said they're a razor company for men. Why are they doing that? You know what I mean? It's like Tyson Chicken coming out and saying, "Be a vegetarian," and thinking it won't hurt your bottom line. It's like, what are you doing?
You know why, dude? I'll give you an answer to your question. Why? Because they were trying to tap into a newer market, and that's to supply the razor blades for women to shave their pussies with. Yeah.
Yeah, they do shave their.
They're trying to bring in the female market.
I think it was more because they think
let's target the feminists.
Men are pussies. It's like they thought men would be like, "I'll buy this because I'm woke," but they were like, "Fuck that, dude. Fuck that. Dudes pretend to be woke for women." You know what I mean? It's like about 75% fake. And it was proven because they lost $8 billion in fucking sales.
Due to political correctness, dude. Yeah.
Well, that's never good business. I mean, you want to go insult, the people that are buying your product. I don't know, where you went to business school, but that's never good business. That's why they tell people generally you leave the politics out of business because they don't mix well. And
yeah. And it's proven. It's proven. But that's what I was thinking the whole time. It's happening. Like, why? What do they think is going to happen? And It happened.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else to tell her.
Well, guys, I think it's been a while. It's been fun. Anyone have anything else they want to go over?
Is this the shilling segment of the show?
Sure. Sure. Am I muted? Sure. Go ahead, shill.
So once again, for those who have not checked out Novus, those who have not yet checked NovusOne, please do so at novus.one. For all my internet's unstable. You guys getting me?
That scared the shit out of me, dude. You were frozen, and then you were in my face.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the radio voice too. It was like, and then you were.
NovusOne. That's NovusOne at NovusOne. Novus.one at NovusOne.
And also, for those of you who have not yet checked out the Crypto Freak Show, please do so on the Crypto Tonight channel, motherfuckers.
Hey, there's one more thing I want to know. So, Bob, when people go and they post their feminist posts on Novus, what you're saying is you're not going to bring the bad hammer down on them.
It's up to them, man.
It's up to them.
People will decide.
Like Gillette.
People power. People power.
That's where the power belongs. And with that, you guys take care. Good night. Check out Crypto Freak Show. Check out
Mike's Hard Lemonade.
McAfee2020.com.
Jack Daniels Watermelon.
Jack Daniels.
Yeah, I was going to know. I had this whole thing set up where I was going to say, hey, man, quit giving me shit. I bought some Jack Daniels, and like, yeah, finally. Be like, Jack Daniels Watermelon. Punch.
Well, thanks for having us on board. It was lots of fun, really, really good. Some interesting topics were covered. Look forward to seeing you again in the future. And
He's going back into the Matrix, man.
onto the Crypto Freak Show as well.
Dude, if you were breakdancing right then, that would have been bad. Dude, that would have been the coolest fucking thing in the world, dude.
Doctor broadcasting live from a toilet on the moon.
Yep, you got that right. Who knows? I might be sitting right now, the green screen behind it. You just don't know.
Who knows? I might be. You just hit
For the viewers watching, we might all be sitting on a toilet seat streaming this with a green screen behind us.
I
But
hope all of us do shit on the toilet seat. Not somewhere else.
the stream will end the moment we push the flush button, folks.
Yeah. That's a new feature of the Novus network.
That's funny.
Yeah. I don't like that post.
Decentralized toilets for everyone.
Like, yeah, Tron would push it, let me tell you. That's something we didn't hit on, the whole Tron and Chinese government thing.
Well, perfect timing. I finished my pitcher of pina colada. So I probably wouldn't be too much good after this anyway.
Almost done with my watermelon punch, and I drank everything else. So, well, you guys, it was cool hanging out with you. Darko asked me to be on Crypto Freak Show. Just let me know when. I'll do it.
Cool.
Good seeing you again, as always, Bob.
Done.
Seeing you, brother.
Tell me when you have more stuff on Novus. Let me know.
Okay.
Get you all on again. It was good hanging out with you. Hope to see everybody here next week. I'm just going to pay for the Zoom stream and kill OBS and just stream straight from Zoom. You guys take care. No, I don't have to do that because I don't even know if I'm streaming.
Yeah.
I see recording up in the corner.
Yeah, that's in Zoom. But
yeah, we're not on DLive.
no, it's spinning. So whatever. I'll just put it on YouTube. See, The Irishman said he couldn't even get in to the meeting, which is weird.
He couldn't get into the toilet. It's been used.
Yeah. We only had so many stalls. All right, guys.
Well, I appreciate it, Sean.
All right. Well, you guys take care. I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all have a good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.